next let us discuss the last method to calculate the inverse of some function, inverse Laplace transform of some function, that is the convolution theorem. This theorem is very useful to calculate inverse Laplace transform, and it is based on the convolution of two functions. So let us first see how do we define the convolution of two functions. So first thing is convolution of two functions. So what would be the convolution of two functions? Suppose I have one function as f of t, another function as g of t, and now I wanted to perform the convolution of these two functions. So this is equal to, the formula for performing this convolution is taking the integration from 0 to t f of u g of t minus u du. So this is how you perform the convolution of two functions. Now here you have to note two things. First thing is that here the integration is performed with respect to u and not t. The original function was given in terms of t, but the integration here is performed with respect to u. Moreover, the limits here are from 0 to t and not from 0 to infinity. So these things are to be kept in mind whenever you find the convolution of two functions. So let me give you an example. How do you calculate the convolution? So example 1, suppose the first function is g of t is given to be 1 and f of t is also given to be 1. These are two functions, so we have to perform what is their convolution. So according to formula, it would be equal to u varying from 0 to t f of u g of t minus u du. So what is the value of f of u? It is equal to 1, and the value of g of t minus u, that is also equal to 1 du. So what is its integration? It is equal to u, and the limits varies from 0 to t. So the final answer is t. So let us see another example. So what would be the convolution of t with t? So it would be equal to u varying from 0 to t, the value of f of u g of t minus u du. So this thing is equal to, integration from 0 to t. Instead of t you will write u here and multiplied by t minus u into du. So now how will you perform this integration? So its integration would be ut minus u square du. So that would be the integration. That would be the multiplication. So now how will you perform this integration? T would be treated as constant. So it would be t into u square divided by 2 minus u cube divided by 3, and the limits are from 0 to t. So this is equal to t cube divided by 2 minus t cube divided by 3 minus 0. So this is the final product of this is the final convolution result that you obtain. So let me again give you one more example. So this is how would you perform the convolution of two functions t and e to the power t. So this is equal to integration from 0 to t, the first function f of u g of t minus u du. So here the first function would be u, and the value of second function, it would be e to the power t minus u du. So now you have to perform this integration with respect to u. Okay, so we'll perform this integration. How do we perform integration? The integration is performed with respect to u. So we can take this term e to the power t outside. So integration is only with respect to u of this term u into e to the power minus u du. So now we can treat this to be the first function, this to be the second function. It would be e to the power t, and then first function as such, the integration of second, and then minus integration derivative of first function, integration of second. So what would be the final answer after integration? It would be equal to e to the power t, and then it would be t into e to the power minus t into e to the power minus t, and when you substitute 0, it would be 0, and here minus become plus, and then integration of e to the power minus u, it is equal to e to the power minus u divided by minus 1, and limits from 0 to t. So when you substitute the limits, it would be equal to minus t e to the power minus t, and plus it would be minus e to the power minus t, and when you substitute the power as 0, so it would be 1. So the final answer after convolution, it becomes minus t, and then it becomes minus 1, and then it becomes again we have plus e to the power t. So this is the product which you obtain after convolution. So this is how you performed convolution, but we were to see how do you calculate the Laplace transform of convolution. So we have this theorem. So this theorem says, if the Laplace transform of some function f of t, that is given to be capital F of s, and the Laplace transform of some function g of t, that is given to be capital G of s, then the Laplace transform of f star g, that would be equal to the product of Laplace transform of f of t and g of t. This is one result, or you could write this in converse form. So that means Laplace inverse of two functions f of s and g of s, that is equal to f star g of t. So now we will make use of this result to calculate several questions. So before that, we will first prove this very important result. This is the convolution theorem. Convolution theorem. So we will first see its proof. For the proof, we will assume this term. We wanted to prove that the Laplace inverse of f of s into g of s, that is equal to f star g. This is what we have to prove. So firstly, what we'll do, we'll consider this term. Consider the Laplace transform of f star g. So what would be this? This would be integration from 0 to infinity f star g as such, and then e to the power minus st dt. So now what we can do, we can apply the definition for f star g. So it would be, here these are the limits of t. So t varying from 0 to infinity. Now we will apply the definition of this f star g. What would be this? It would be integration from 0 to t of this function u. So f of u, g of t minus u du, and the remaining part as such, e to the power minus st dt. So this is the result that we have. Now here the integration firstly is performed with respect to u and then with respect to t. So let us have a look here. Next what we'll do, we will change the order of integration. That means we'll first take the integration with respect to t, and then we will change, perform the integration with respect to u. So for that, how do you change the limits? For that, suppose this is some function that is u, t is equal to u. Earlier, because firstly the limits were taken with respect to u, so we were considering this thing, this line. So your limits, this is your t axis, this is your u axis. So u was earlier varying from 0 to t, this because this curve is t is equal to u, so the value here is value of u is u varies from 0 to t. Now you are suppose you are painting this whole region. So what you will do, you will move this vertical line to this side and to this side until whole of the region is covered. So that means you will move this vertical stick from t is equal to 0 to the point t is equal to infinity until it is being covered. So that means that were your previous limits. That means u were varying from 0 to t and t was varying from 0 to infinity. But now we wanted to change into another portion. So that means firstly we will take the limits of t instead of u, and then we will take the limits of u. So this curve is t is equal to u. Now instead of taking this vertical line, we will take this horizontal line. This horizontal line, for this horizontal line, what is the value of t here? The value of t here at this particular point is equal to u, and at the corner of right corner of this horizontal line it would be infinity. So that means we will first take the limits of t, those would be t varying from u to infinity with respect to t, and then we will take the units of u and your u. Now we have again to paint this whole area. So how we will do that? We will shift or we will move this horizontal line upwards and downwards until whole of this area is being covered. So that means here the value of u is equal to 0, and at this portion the value of u is equal to infinity after some long interval of time, because we are to calculate this whole area. Okay, so accordingly the limits of u would be u varying from 0 to infinity, and in this case previously we had the limits of u as varying from 0 to t du and the limits of t varying from 0 to infinity dt. So now we have converted this whole thing to this thing. So our limits would now change from this to the quantity integration u varying from 0 to infinity, t varying from u to infinity, f of u g of t minus u e to the power minus st dt du. So this is what we got after changing the order of integration. So the next step here is substitute t minus u as some another variable, say r. So that means your dt would be equal to dr, and your limits would change whenever your t is equal to u. That means your r would become equal to 0 when you substitute t is equal to u here, and whenever t is equal to infinity, your r will tend to infinity. So accordingly these limits, they would change to integration u varying from 0 to infinity, this would be as such, but here we would have r varying from 0 to infinity, f of u g of r e to the power minus s u plus r, and instead of dt we would now have dr. So this is one integral, and another integral is with respect to u as usual. So this is the integral. Now we can separate out the term u is equal to 0 to infinity and r varying from 0 to infinity, f of u g of r e to the power minus su e to the power minus sr dr and du. So now we can separate out the terms. So it would be integration u to infinity, because these terms are independent. This is only function of u, and integration is with respect to u. Here this is function of r, this is also function of r, and the integration is with respect to r. So they are independent of each other and we can separate out them. So it would be u varying from 0 to infinity, f of u e to the power minus su du multiplied by integration from r varying from 0 to infinity g of r e to the power minus sr dr. So now, according to the definition of Laplace transform, this is nothing but the Laplace transform of the function f of u, and this is nothing but the Laplace transform of the function g of r. So now you could also change the variables. So it would be Laplace transform of f of t and the Laplace transform of g of t. There is no harm in doing this thing. So we know it is given to us that the Laplace transform of f of t is nothing but capital F of s, and the Laplace transform of g of t is nothing but capital G of s. So from here we got that Laplace transform of f star g, because we started with this term. Initially we started with this particular term, Laplace transform of f star g. This now comes out to be equal to the product of the Laplace transform of first function multiplied by that of second function. So this is the proof. Now let us see one example corresponding to this, or how do we calculate this inverse Laplace transform using this convolution theorem. So you are asked, find the Laplace inverse of s divided by s square plus a square whole square. Now to calculate this inverse, this is typical, but you see this is the Laplace inverse of product of two functions. First function is this function s divided by s square plus a square, and another function is 1 divided by s square plus a square. So you can call this particular function as your f of s, and you can call this function as g of s. So now because your f of s is equal to, or you could write the Laplace inverse of, or you could say Laplace transform of f of t, that is equal to capital F of s, which is equal to s divided by s square plus a square. So what would be f of t? It would be the Laplace inverse of s divided by s square plus a square. And what is this? This is cos a t. And here, because we know the Laplace transform of g of t is equal to capital G of s, which is equal to 1 divided by s square plus a square. Therefore, we can calculate g of t from here, which would be equal to Laplace inverse of 1 divided by s square plus a square. So its Laplace inverse would be g of t, that would be equal to sine a t. So this is g of t and this is f of t. So we know by the help of convolution theorem, using convolution theorem, the inverse Laplace transform of f of s, the inverse Laplace transform of f of s multiplied by g of s, that is equal to the convolution of f with g. So we have this function f of t, we have this function g of t. By definition, this is equal to integration from 0 to t f of u g of t minus u du. So now because we have f of t, so what would be f of u? That would simply be changing the variable from t to u. So we will change this variable t to u. So it would be cos a u. And what would be g of u, or g of simply t minus u, because we require t minus u here. So it would be g of t minus u, that would be equal to sine a, and in place of this t we will now write t minus u. So we require this term and this term in order to calculate this particular integral. So let us see what this integral comes out to be. So it is equal to cos of au multiplied by sine of a t minus u du. So now we will have to solve this particular quantity. So how can we solve this? Moreover, there is one mistake. The Laplace transform of this quantity is sine a t divided by a. So here we also have in division a. So that here also we have in division a. So our integration here would be this term divided by a. So now we have to solve this particular integration. How can we solve this? So here we can apply this formula. So we can take this a outside and we can multiply and divide by 2. So we would have 2 cos au multiplied by sin at minus au du. So now 2 cos a sin b, that is equal to integration from 0 to t sine of a plus b, right? So it would be at minus au plus au, and then we have plus sine of at minus au minus au du. So from here this au and au cancels. So we are left with 1 by 2a integration from 0 to t sine at plus sine at minus 2au du. So what would be its integration? So its integration would be 1 by 2a, and we have integration of sine at would be cos at divided by minus a. Okay, minus is because of the sine term, and here we have, here you have to see the integration is with respect to t. So this term is constant. So that means sine at is constant and the integration of 1 would be u, and the limits varies from 0 to t. Okay, and here because the integration is with respect to u, so that means it would be equal to minus cos at minus 2au divided by the coefficient of u, that is minus 2a, and the limits varies from 0 to t. Limits of u varies from 0 to t. So you could substitute the values here. So it would be equal to 1 divided by 2a, and then this would be t sine at, and then when you substitute 0 you have 0 here, and finally this minus and minus cancels, so we have plus 1 by 2a, and it would be cos at minus 2at, and when you substitute 0 in place of u, it would be cos at. So finally 1 upon 2a t sine at, and plus 1 upon 2a, its value is cos of minus at, that would be cos of at and minus cos of at. So this and this cancels. So the final answer is 1 divided by 2a into t sine at. So this is the answer, and this is the Laplace inverse of the given function. So I hope this is